TIVlog number 3.
Brandt, 10 years ago you went from a freelancer to an entrepreneur, and apparently you just realized it.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Beau. I wrote a blog about this.
Right.
We're thinking that this is a good one to do, kind of in a conversational mode. We tried doing this earlier. Like we said, we're exploring how to do this whole vlog thing, and we're, especially after watching ourselves, realizing what's working and what's not. That one didn't work. I think that's about all I have to say about it. So we're going to try it this way.
Okay, cool.
All right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, you've been designing for, what, 20 years now?
Yeah, I mean, if you strictly count when I got out of college, I started doing freelance for the publishing company that I worked for while I was in college, called Prima Publishing, and they did those really graphic, intense video game strategies. And so I went up to teach skiing right out of college, and I did freelance while I was up there. So that officially is when I started Hooking Good Design, 1998.
Sounds better than it reads.
Yeah, it's even more difficult to spell.
And then from there, is that right after Hooking you did TIV?
Yeah, so here's how it went. I did that, and I always did freelance on the side. I always wanted to be able to do that. Luckily, my father financed well, he gave me a loan. He didn't realize he was actually financing it because I don't think I ever paid him back, but thanks, Dad. Old blue and white Mac, and I got all the programs and whatnot, and I started doing freelance. And then when I came back to Santa Rosa and lived with my mom, I got a job at Deloach Vineyards. And while I was there learning a lot, I also did freelance on the side. So that 2002 is when I really left Deloach Vineyards to actually try to find another job, but I never found one. So that's really when I went full-time. Shortly thereafter, my wife, Christy, left Deloach Vineyards, or actually she was at Ferrari Grano at the time, and she left and joined me. And we did that for a while.
Nice. And then, so how's everything changed over the last 20 years? So how's your process changed, your mindset, really, from going from just you and your wife and eventually a couple of your family members to a team of, 16?
Yeah, I mean, we ran out of family members.
Right.
So we had to move on. We started TIV branding. Actually, it was just called TIV in 2009 with Britta.
Mm-hmm.
She left Foster Farms to have a baby, and we talked her to come in with us instead, rather than going back and working long hours. So that's when TIV started. And then from there, we started partnering with the Zenergy Works folks, which turned into Zentiv Agency. And that's when we started actually having people. So it went from 4 partners, because we had my younger sister Blythe partnered with us as well. All of a sudden we blew up to a much bigger number, which was bigger than it is now with Zenergy Works. So it did change things. The biggest change was I had to have a more developed process, because it no longer was everything coming through me. I couldn't keep track of every little thing that everybody was doing. Didn't realize how much of a control freak I was until then, but now I know. And so putting that process in place was a way of ensuring that the way we're doing things is the way we wanted to do things, and the way I would have done things if I was doing them on my own.
Yeah, I mean, the process has been in place essentially since day one when I got here.
It was started, and then it's been fine-tuned. It's been one of those things that it's easy for me to say how I would do things, but you realize that everybody does things differently. So having that process in place and being flexible to let people do it the way they do it has been one of probably the biggest progression.
Definitely. I mean, we have our 4-step process of our discover, design, develop, drive, but we also have the process of how we actually interact with our clients, how we interact with each other. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces, in addition to the design and the actual work, is the real hands-on touch.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, that's I think I always said the reason why I was successful as a freelancer is oftentimes because other freelancers were so flaky and so hard to work with. I mean, I wasn't. I was happy to be doing what I was doing, and so I bent over backwards for people, and you know, they kept me around and kept giving me work and told other people about me, and that I think really is important to do as an agency. I think agencies can get a bad rap, or some of them probably earn it by having kind of bad attitudes and being know-it-alls and all that kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, we feel like we know what we know and we are experts in what we do, and we will tell you, but we also do it in a collaborative, friendly way.
I think that's why you and Eric mesh so well together, because with the original clients that he had from Zenergy Works, he has such a hands-on approach and such a team effort across the board that the way you approach things and the way Eric approaches things are incredibly similar, even though one is digital and one is more design and traditional marketing. The way you deal with people, deal with is the wrong term, the way you work with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think it's part of what makes us special. That, along with, you know, kind of having such unique experts sitting around the table.
Yeah.
But yeah, people like to work with us, so that's important. And if they don't, you know, they won't work with us. So we kind of end up naturally working with people that get what we do. They see stuff like this and they go, okay, these guys aren't trying to be anything they're not. And some people might be like, yeah, we're not going to work with those guys because of that. But
they didn't make it this far into the video anyways.
Exactly. They're out. So with that in mind, I think this is probably getting long. So there is a blog, not a vlog, but a blog on our website that you should check out that goes into a little more of the detail here, along with stuff like what I do, because I, like the title says, freelancer to entrepreneur, and just realized it. So I didn't really try to do this, and so there's been a lot of learning how to run an agency and that kind of thing, and I'm still learning. But yeah, check it out, read it, and yeah, I think that's it. Check it out, read it.
Check it out and read it.
I mean, any other call to action we need to put in here, Beau?
Read now.
That's it. Wait, you didn't do your peace thing. Yes. Well, that was a piece of thumbs up.